The mark of a good friendship is where you can both read the same book, have very different reviews, and still end up as friends. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I am taking the Buddy Reads book tag. This was originally created by Noah from Everyone Who Reads This Must Converse, and I feel like this is the perfect time to do this as I have just put up a video of 3 books that I read as buddy reads with a couple of friends of mine. So it feels like this is a really good time to talk a little bit more about why I buddy read, if I enjoy doing them, and what kind of books that I think you should buddy read together. Let's go straight into question 1, which is accountability. Do you like buddy reads? I actually really enjoy a buddy read because, as the question says, it does give you the accountability to keep reading. It does make you kind of reach for the book a little bit more often when you're thinking, oh, there's somebody else who's reading this along with me and they want to hear what my thoughts on these chapters are. It also can structure you a little bit more because if you decide, okay, we're going to read 50 pages a day or we're going to read 3 chapters a day, you know exactly where you need to hold off. You can keep going a little bit if you want to, if you're getting really stuck into the book, but it does give you a little bit of something to aim at, and it does give you a little bit more of an ease of you saying, okay, I know when I go and pick up this book, I only have to read these sections. I don't have to read the whole thing in one go. It's also a really good time to get other people's insights into the book, to talk about it a little bit more with somebody else who you know has definitely read it. You're not going to spoiler them on anything. They might have completely different ideas about it that you have missed out on. They might have seen something that you didn't, or you might have seen something that they didn't, and it's such a great way to discuss your favorite books with other people. Question 2 is sharing. What is your ideal size of buddy read? Like, how many people will get in there? I think around 2 or 3 people together in the group is enough, that you're getting these different ideas, you're getting different people's opinions, but there isn't enough people that you're shouting over each other, that there might be a dominant voice where others aren't being heard as often. When there's only 2 or 3 people in a group, you're not really fighting as much to be heard in any other kind of a situation. Whereas I feel like if there is a group of maybe 15 or 20 of you, it does feel like there might be maybe 5 to 6 people who are definitely holding the conversation up, and maybe 5 or 6 other people who are just taking a seat back, enjoying the ride, seeing what other people are talking about, but not sharing their ideas and their thoughts as much. I have done a couple of really big buddy reads in the past. I buddy read Louisa May Alcott's Little Women over Christmas with Sinead from Tired Book Mammy, and that was a group of maybe 13, 14 of us who all just read, I think, maybe 3 chapters a day in that no man's land between Christmas and New Year's, and then came onto an Instagram group and talked about it. And the same happened with Rachel's Holiday by Marion Keyes. I read that as another buddy read group with Breach from Rare Opal Reads. And again, this was a bigger group. I think there was about 15 or 20 people in that group. And there was even so much of a demand that she had to make 3 separate Instagram groups to get everybody's thoughts on the board. And I think that that was maybe a little bit too big because I didn't hear other people in the other groups. I didn't hear what they were thinking about the book. I only heard that little section of where I was in. So I think maybe that one was a little bit too big. Question 3 is duration. Do you think that longer or shorter reads are more ideal for buddy reads? I think something in the middle. If you're looking at about 350 to 450 pages, I think that that is your sweet spot for a buddy read. It's not so short that you're finished with it within 1 or 2 days, but it's also not so long that it's taking over your entire week or your entire month or whatever. You're just maybe doing 50 pages a day, or you're doing a couple of chapters a day, and you can very easily break it down. The buddy read for Rachel's Holiday that I previously discussed was about 600 pages. So you're looking at something that spanned over about a month and a half. And I feel like that was quite a long time to be still reading the same book. I get through a book around 3 or 4 days. So that felt like a really long time for me. And I admittedly did skip ahead, but as it was a reread, I don't think it counted as much for me. So I do feel like there should be a kind of sweet spot, and maybe 350 to 450 is where you're looking at. Question 4 is community. There are many different types of readers, but share a buddy read that had a meeting of minds. I'm friends with Paige from Pages with Paige, and in July of 2020, we sat together and we decided to buddy read Beartown by Frederick Backman. The two of us had a copy of it together, and it came up in conversation one day that we just decided we'll go and read it together. Through the jigs and the reels, I got sick one week and left the book in the office and didn't get back to it for a week, and Paige's life just kind of overtook and we didn't finish the book together. However, she read it around March of 2021 and I read it around the end of 21. I think it was like November going into December. It's a phenomenal book, and both of us had exactly the same reactions to it. Both of us kind of kicked ourselves in the butts and were like, why did we leave this for so long? We both then sat together, we had a chat about it, we discussed what we really liked about it, what we really didn't like about it. I think both of us felt a little bit alienated by the hockey system because we're not big sports fans, we're not big hockey fans. But there was so much about the social commentary of the book that both of us spent about an hour just on Twitter DMs back and forth talking about what we loved about this book. I really regret not having gone back to it when I came back from sick leave that week in work, and I absolutely recommend that you pick this one up. In a similar vein, question 5 is about perspectives. Again, there are many different types of readers. Share a buddy read where you had a difference in perspectives. Victoria from What Victoria Read and I both read My Dark Vanessa in July, August of last year. Victoria did not enjoy this book in the same way that I did, and even using the word enjoy feels like the wrong kind of thing to say given the subject matter of this book. This book is about a relationship between a teacher and a student in a boarding school in the US. And the student, about 25 years after it has happened, is looking back and realizing that it wasn't as consensual as she thought it wasn't as okay and on board as she thought that it was. And it speaks a lot about the Me Too movement, about power dynamics, about toxic relationships. I think part of the reason that it hit Victoria so hard is that she is also a teacher in her professional life. So she may have had that kind of discourse between the two of them. I kind of resonated with this book a little bit different to how she had done it. I think both of us enjoyed the book for what it was, but whereas she gave it a 3-star rating, I gave it a 4.5. Question 6 is challenges. Share a private or a public challenge that is going to take you out of your comfort zone. So I'm going to share one of each. The public challenge that I'm taking part in is the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge that I do absolutely every single year. It's got 40 basic prompts and 10 advanced prompts that really do try and take you out of your comfort zone. This year, more than any other year, it is absolutely going to do that. I'm a very heavy romance reader. I don't generally tend to go into a lot of other genres, and I know what works for me and what doesn't work. However, there are a couple of genres this year that are definitely going to pull me out of the boat a little bit. You've got a sci-fi fantasy book, you've got a winner of the Hugo Awards, which I believe is another sci-fi fantasy kind of a book. You've got a lot of books that I genuinely wouldn't have gone to pick up if they weren't connected to the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. I have a feeling that these might be left until the end of the year if I know my reading tastes, but I'm really going to try and give it a try this year. As for the personal reading challenge, this is a copy of Matilda by Roald Dahl, and you may not think that there's anything too out of the ordinary about it, except that this copy is written entirely in German. I live in Germany. I speak German pretty well, but I've never actually read a book in the language from cover to cover. And I feel like this is the year to really do that. At the start of the year, I set myself a couple of challenges that I wanted to finish off by the end of the year in terms of my reading and in terms of books that I wanted to pick up. When I'm looking back on 2022, I would love to be able to say that I read a book in what is technically my third language from cover to cover, understood it, and had no problems. I know that might be reaching a little bit, but I'm really hopeful I'll get this one done. Question 7 is events. What is your favourite reading event and why? My favourite time in the whole year is the Irish Readathon, which runs for the entirety of March and is run by Aoife from Words of Clover and Leanne from Leanne Reads. Throughout the month, there are some prompts that you can fill in about books that are set in Ireland or written by Irish writers, and I absolutely love it because it gives me a chance to kind of go home in terms of the books that I'm going to be reading. So in March, I try to do either only or majority Irish authors, Irish settings, Irish books, anything to do with reading about Ireland. I took part in it this year and I vlogged my entire reading month in March, and you can go and check out those vlogs if you would like to see how that went. But I got through all of the prompts this year. I read only books that were written by Irish authors throughout the entire month of March, and I had such a great time doing it. Question 8 is can't stop. A booktuber with whom you've buddy read the most. I honestly don't think that there's one person with whom I've done the most buddy reads. I have kind of done a couple with other people, like Paige from Pages with Paige, like Sam from Griff Reads, like Victoria from What Victoria Read. I have done a buddy read with Michelle from Michelle's Library recently, and we've all got plans to do other ones. I've also buddy read with a couple of offline friends, and we've really enjoyed doing that as well. So I don't think that there's anyone in either aspect of my life that I would say I've done the most buddy reads with, but there are definitely people I've done one with that I would do it again. Connected to that is question number 9, won't stop. Who are some booktubers that you would love to buddy read with but haven't done so yet? I think if I'm looking for people to buddy read with, it's usually those who have similar tastes in reading to me. So we're looking at Aimee from Aimee Reads, we're looking at Breanna from Four Paws in a Book, or we're looking at Rachel from Rachel Kerris. All 3 of these have definitely got similar reading tastes to me. I think there's a lot of instances where I've picked up a book that I've seen on their channel that they loved, and I have had the same feelings about it, or that I've read a book that they didn't love and I didn't turn out to love it either so much. So if there's anybody that I would do a buddy read with, it would definitely be one of those 3. And finally, question 10 is to tag your buddy reads friends. So I am going to tag the booktubers that I have done buddy reads with. We're talking about Paige from Pages with Paige, Victoria from What Victoria Read, Sam from Griff Reads, and Michelle from Michelle's Library. I would love you to go and check out their channels. Those are my thoughts on the buddy read booktuber tag. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.